Hi, this is Terry Lee Bivona. This is my next video in this series called A Life Worth Living. I'm a 52-year-old nurse, registered nurse in hospice care. I have been for the past 12 years. And about 6 weeks ago, I had some abrupt pain in my back. Went to the emergency room. Myself and the emergency room staff actually agreed that it looked like I probably had a slipped disc in the middle of my back. After some tests and bone scans and MRIs, we all found out quite shockingly that I have profoundly advanced stage 4 bone and prostate cancer. The cancer is actually literally in almost every large and medium bone in my body. My whole spine, clavicles, ribs, sternum, pelvis, arms. So pretty clear a one-way ticket to the heavens. I'm not afraid. A lot of sadness at the idea of getting an early pass from this lifetime into the heavens, but this is certainly not a bad thing. It's just a huge change in a short period of time. I've lived my life very intentionally by the words love and self-responsibility. Those have kind of been my watchwords, and they do not steer me wrong. So what I want to do in this video is share a quick story about the changes that people go through when they have expectations, and this little story is called Getting There. I used to work in a heart transplant and cardiac surgery ICU. Had met a fellow one time, generally pretty healthy guy, and he had 3 vessels that they did bypass surgery on in his heart, and he was, again, generally healthy, so expected a pretty quick recovery. The physician told him 3, maybe 4 days from surgery before he would be out of the ICU. So the guy really logged in this number 3 and was kind of holding the physician accountable to make sure everything kind of went that way. So a little bit of double-edged sword on how this man was kind of trying to run his medical show. So day 3 came around, and he was actually still having some breathing difficulties, and some of the other things going on in his body wasn't working quite as ideally planned. So he began to get quite angry. I was the nurse with him that evening on night 3, and here we are crossing into day 4. So the patient was basically becoming somewhat controlled and indignant in a kind of controlled way, almost as if there was a contract of 3 days for his recovery and that we were violating the contract. So it was interesting to hang with this fellow for the evening and to try to be patient. And his dedication surely was to have a talk with the physician in the morning. Now, the physician, if you put a cowboy hat and spurs on this man and then listen to the drawl in his voice, would be the epitome of the old Western days true gentleman. Mustache, just had all the appearance of that, but he also had the gentlemanly patience, receptiveness, and mannerisms of a well-reared man. So the physician had come in the room about 7 in the morning. Here we are at day 4, and so I stood in the doorway, and the physician asked the patient how he'd been through the evening, and literally for probably 5 or 6 minutes the man really went on a rant. Everything that could have, should have gone right and didn't, the things that he didn't expect to happen, and a lot of tone about his disappointment both in the physician and in the recovery process, kind of looking for blame. Physician had his arms kind of over the side rail, the man's head is this way, and he in earnest listened to everything that man said. He was very quiet, and you could actually see by his face and by his kind of closed in demeanor that he was really processing this in. He hadn't already made a decision on what that meant. So the man really did go on 5 or 6 minute rant, and if you ever just try to clock 5 or 6 minutes, it's a long time. And but the guy kind of ran out of fuel, and then looked at the physician like, well? And I'm learning this value of space. A lot of times when there's something intense happening, there's a significant thing that happens with power and authority and truth when people allow a small amount of space to come in between exchanges. So this physician either knowingly or unknowingly did that and does that. So he just stood there again, his arms on the rail, kind of leaning into the patient in an empathetic way, trying to feel what the patient's feeling. And then he pulled his head up just a little bit, not quite eye contact. He kind of made his eye contact at the end of this statement that he made. And he says, well, you know, sometimes it's not how fast you get there, but that you get there. And he just looked him in the eyes and dropped it right there. Amazingly, this man learned a lot in all of that because he understood he was getting there. Not at the speed that he wanted, but he was getting there, and this wonderful and courteous physician was helping him find his way. The man's demeanor totally changed from that because he understood something intuitively and personally, that one, he could relax, things were on the right course, and that if he continued in this path, which is certainly actually a positive path, but a little slower, that man changed. From that point on, his respect for me as a nurse, for all the other staff, even the housekeeping and the people from the kitchen that would bring in his meals, he was a little less edgy, he was more patient, and he was just kind of riding it out with us rather than riding it out against us. It did take him that day and actually another day to get all of his breathing and lab work numbers to where he could get out of the ICU. And then from the ICU, he actually was out of the hospital in 2 days. But what a golden nugget that physician gave all of us, including me. I've used that many, many times in my personal life when I feel hurried or I have my own expectation of how and when something should happen, and that this idea gets thrown in. That for me, I even say to myself, you know, maybe it's not how fast I get there, but that I get there. And it really eases the pressure, and it kind of actually helps me see a wider, more tender, and a more open view of the situation I'm putting myself into. So, there you go. Thank you.